C'est du vrai café ou
Qu'est-ce que tu appelles du vrai café?
c'est pas vrai. C'est du vrai café. Gratuit, je pensais que c'était.
C'est quoi la différence entre du vrai café et du faux café?
Well, the fake coffee that's usually looks like a million.
Non, mais c'est pas ma faute si tu es hébergé par un milieu et que ça ne rien pas. Ah, mais il y a des nouvelles places là-bas.
358, hein, j'espère que je ne suis pas planté. De toute façon, je l'ai annoncé.
Attends, moi, je suis pas non. Ah, si. Ah, ils sont les prises.
Derrière moi, c'est pas parce que les gens me
Alors, attends, du coup,
je m'en vais.
Il y a quand même.
J'ai pas besoin de plus.
Ah, moi non plus, pas tout de suite, mais c'est comme le radis.
Faut démarrer?
Bon.
Je vais avoir besoin bientôt.
I think we should start.
Yes.
Is the broadcast live? So
We're
what do you
live.
think of it? Just take the. Oh, we're as late as yesterday. Okay. So welcome for the second day of the Coq Working Group. I think it's the first time I see we're Coq Working Group on 2 days, but maybe it hasn't been done in the past.
First.
So the first talk will be by...
one in 5 days.
Oh, yeah, it's different. So the first talk will be by Hugo on small inversion and parametric operation.
Okay, so this is a long story of pattern matching compilation. So we all know the atomic brick pattern matching, which is elementary pattern matching. So to simplify, I will take inductive type without parameters. And here we have constructors. Okay. For so inductive types defined, so we have let's say, so I don't take parameters, so I have a soft, and I have constructor. So this is just to set the notation.
Just to be sure, even without parameters, it keeps the mode general case, right? Parameters do not matter.
Yes, yes. We could consider I as an inductive applied to some parameters.
But that doesn't change anything, right? Okay.
Ouais, except for non-uniform parameters. Par contre, on peut pas le lire.
I should take black, maybe.
Yeah, we could try black, yeah, because it's just the color that we...
Here is the reflex of the light.
So the contrast is very
Bien ici. Faut attendre un petit peu.
So on the pattern matching,
Yeah, black is better.
on the pattern matching compilation problem is so as was implemented first by Christina Farnes, is the generalization which was at this time inspired by what existing in OCaml, or maybe it's Camel Light. Maybe I can touch P2. Here we have now matrices of pattern. So this is a well-known form. P with P I mean a pattern. And then we have branch. Okay, so I don't know if this can be seen easily. So this is the atomic form with only one term match with a return predicate, so it's dependent pattern matching, return predicate expressed as a sequence in some sense, dependent on y and x. And this is the general form with a semantic, which is generally admitted to be taking the first line which matches. So this was the situation, and the work of Christina Cornes was to compile such an expression into a cascade of such expression. Now, with type dependent, we can have constraint of the branches. So we know that there are branches we cannot open because of type constraint. And there is standard technique like inversion technique, what is done in equation or independent destruction, to use equality to eliminate to propagate this constraint. And there were a big idea by so there was the idea of small inversion. So small inversion is when here I have a term T1 of some type E on I has some structure, and by structure I mean a pattern structure. So there is here a pattern with the leaf of the pattern instantiated by some terms. That when we have a pattern, so the typical example, you take vectors, you take a vector of this type. So we have a pattern structure on the indices of inductive type. And thanks to this pattern structure, we are able to eliminate cases and to say that they cannot be nil, for instance. So this is called a small inversion. I don't know where it came.
Because inversion is makes a big work, and small inversion had less complexity problems.
Yes, it's a light way to do inversion. So for me, it seems I learned it from James McKenna, but James McKenna said it was folklore, or that he learned from me, or I don't know. When they were on Jean-François Monin, at least, is the one who studied it well. And then so at some time I introduce a way to automatically, when the return clause is not given, but we have an external type, the external constraint here to the pattern matching, to automatically build a predicate here from T using a small inversion. So using first to encapsulate the type here with something of the form match the indices y with s of n, and then the return predicate. And in the other case, which are not possible because we are matching a vector with a constraint successor, to have something trivially provable, like true. So this is the principle of small inversion. So I introduce this mechanism to automatically insert small inversions. And then Pierre Boutillier has the very nice design idea that instead of writing this complex expression, to generalize the general form of pattern matching which is compiled into a form where here we don't have variable for the indices, but a pattern structure. So we have something more general, which is a pattern structure. So we can say here in vect of S de N. And automatically, this means considering the return predicate only in the case we are a successor. So it's automatically insert implicitly a match Y with Sn and then the return predicate. So now this moves to a general form where here we don't have indices, but we have pattern.
Is it one pattern or can it be or patterns?
Or.
Like not that only two constructors, Sn or 0. That wouldn't make any sense.
No, here it's a one-line pattern. There's no disjunction.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yes.
Because you might want to. Okay. That's something more.
Because this pattern is supposed to be a filter of the effective type of T1.
So you can't have multiple patterns because only one matches at a time.
Yeah.
But you could infer it from the form of the type of T.
Yes.
Yeah, but it does that.
Yes.
And you do that as well on your
Yes.
low
So there are
final-
different. Yes, there are different levels. So, so what I mean here is that this is the new way pattern matching can be compiled. The algorithm of compilation of pattern machine works by doing this generalization, not with a pattern with in-clause, which has pattern structure. We have a recursive algorithm which needs this recursively and which works well recursively. So this is the interest of this. Why of the reason this generalization is interesting.
So to summarize, what you have is you use exactly the same basic structure as before.
Yes.
But you add one level of recursion, the treatment of the in-clause of the pattern matching. Or is it not only the in-clause or is it also the return clause?
No, the in-clause.
Okay.
So and this is the step in 8.5. Pierre Boutillier added syntax for that, so you can write that. And it implicitly insert a match on the pattern structure, on this pattern structure, and so on return, on top of the return. But this is not, isn't it clear?
No, I'm just wondering,
Yes.
is it available in the surface syntax or only inside Coq?
So it's only available in the surface syntax. So the way Pierre Boutillier implemented this is only at the constraint level, and in the translation to block const, it replaces this P1 by a match.
Okay.
So he sent to the compilation algorithm a match.
So there is somewhere a Coq file that combines with a Coq 8.5 that already illustrates this capability.
Yes, the P1, yes, it's already in 8.5. And it compiles to this. And what I'm saying now with more retrospective, with more time afterward, is that this shouldn't be done at constraints to block const, but it should be kept in block const because this pattern structure is the right one to generalize the compilation pattern matching so that small inversion does not work only at the top level of the matching, but also in the nested part.
So can you repeat this sentence? It should not be done at the block const.
Yes, currently the pattern here are allowed only at the top of the pattern matching problem to compile.
This is very weird.
Yes. So because this is how it was done before. Before the pattern matching algorithm on 8.5 and 8.6 like this, it works without patterns. The structure, the recursive structure on which the compilation works is with indices which have no pattern structure.
Yeah, but he was trying to add these patterns, but not change the algorithm.
Yes, but we didn't know exactly how to do it. I mean, we had some sketch how to do it, but it's only with the internship of Mevan Bertrand spring that we started to understand how to rephrase the compilation algorithm using this pattern structure in the recursive step.
What is the rationale for putting more general forms in blob const than in
Is this pattern structure in blob const?
the general policy for putting more abstract stuff, more general stuff in the blob const than in step?
Because the compilation of this general form of pattern matching works on blob const.
What do you mean by more general?
So if we want the compilation algorithm to manipulate this kind of structure where we keep the information of the pattern structure, we need to have it in blob const.
But why? I mean, the information is not there anymore, but it's in the match in the return type. Right now.
Currently.
So why does it make such a big difference?
Because here it's more algebraic. We know exactly the pattern structure. Here we have a match, but we would have to deconstruct the match to remember that the match comes from a pattern structure.
But why do you need to remember the pattern structure during the compilation?
Yes, I'm coming to that.
Can you summarize, just for people like me who don't remember all the names, what is the order between blob const and construct in the elaboration of terms?
Construct is the abstract syntax tree.
It comes first.
Construct is first and blob const is after, and then const.
Yes. Blob const is the entry to the type checking, to the type inference.
So when you go from const to blob const, you still have to reconstruct the patterns.
From const.
You have nothing to do to go back. But if you put the pattern structure in the indices, you can reconstruct the blob const from the information in the const.
Yeah, at printing time.
At printing time. Right now, when you print the result of pattern matching compilation, you see the match in the conclusion. But if you put the pattern structure in the indices, you could reform that information back.
If you put that information in blob const. Yeah. In const, the information is compiled to
still gone. The information is still gone in const.
It's a standard match in const.
Yeah.
You don't have
Yes,
this elaborated.
We don't have this information in blob const.
So when you go from const,
Not in const. Not in const. Yes.
so even if you put it in glob const, when you go from const to glob const, you have to reconstruct it if it exists. You have to try to compile it, to decompile it to something like that, if it's possible. Right?
To decompile, yes.
So which step, sorry, I'm lost between parsing and printer, which chain you are improving by sticking data in?
Currently, I will improve only the compilation.
Yeah, so it goes
working on blob const to get a const.
Okay.
To get a cascade, a nesting of such elementary.
only serious questions.
I see. And today the patterns are all in constructs, but not in blob const.
Yes.
But the compilation happens with on blob const.
Yes,
So
exactly.
Of course, you don't have the data.
Yes, exactly.
That makes sense.
Well, it makes sense that it might be a problem.
And maybe a remark in passing is that in the compilation step, actually we will use a generalization of the elementary, which is the generalization with the pattern here, which is not the const version, but this is elementary at this level, but this means that there is another step of translation of this atomic elementary brick with pattern structure into an elementary brick just by compiling a second step of compiling of pattern matching to compiling this pattern structure, because this pattern structure is just a notation for match for this match y prime with py p of yx. And here, a default case which is always provable.
But in the long run, would it make sense to also have a change in const to accommodate this?
Yes, I was thinking about that. But if we make a change in const, this means that we have something which is not so elementary in const, which is a pattern matching arbitrarily complex to check in the kernel. Maybe it's not so. But yes, somehow it means that this bridge is better, is more, closer to what we want.
It's more complex.
There is also the question of multiple pattern matching.
One thing that could be done is to keep the same simplicity of the const, but have annotation to say when we want to reconstruct data from this const, we know.
No. We should stop.
We have the sources of data.
This is exactly the idiom I was talking about yesterday. You have the information, and you don't want to propagate it to the next representation. You forget about it, and then when you see the construct,
that's what I was going. This is what I was saying. The problem is right now you have a const language in which you cannot propagate the information.
Exactly. Yeah. But that part I agree.
So I was trying to understand what in the long run, if you want to avoid this idiom, what can be done?
That part is
But I'm only asking questions.
But more generally, a question is maybe this should be in the kernel. But it's much more. It's more natural. It's closer to what we intend, but it's more to check.
But there is an intermediate solution, like the one that is implemented for destructive let and if. That is, you keep the simple version inside the kernel, but you allow some annotation on it that says.
That's what I was.
But what I'm saying is that it's already used for match.
That's what I was saying.
We did. I didn't get. No,
That's good. So the problem is that it's harder to type check the more elaborate form. But it's is it harder to evaluate with it, because you could have one structure for type checking and one for evaluation. That's a bit.
What would be the point?
The point is that when you type check, you expand a little bit and you type check, but when you evaluate, you keep so type checking doesn't make things change. But when you evaluate, you use the more complex form, so that when at the end of the evaluation process, you still have the elaborated one with all the information.
So these two, are you sure that you could actually have this in the kernel? Would it be type safe?
This?
Yeah.
As soon as we are able to compile it, it means we have interpretation in pure CIC. So we can keep it in the kernel.
Yes, but do all the rules of substitution and congruence apply to this?
The reduction rule would not be the same somehow, because here the reduction rule we would have to have a complete pattern structure.
It's less fine-grained.
Yes, it's less fine-grained, but this is also a standard problem in practice.
Yeah.
We have minus n m. We use tricks like adding a simple flag to mean I don't want to reduce it until both n and m are constructed. So this is there is a real practical issue also, that the decomposition in elementary bricks is not sometimes what we want.
That's more
in terms of reduction. So maybe this is a better high-level view at a match, even in terms of reduction rules.
Well, but there are two things.
But we are going maybe too far in.
I think we are discussing at least two things at the same time.
Yes.
Which one is the extension with the patterns. One is multiple pattern, an elementary construction that allows to pattern match on more than one thing in the kernel. And these two are a bit orthogonal.
No, because when you introduce patterns, if the pattern is on something more elaborate, then you pattern match on many arguments at a time. So if you allow patterns, you also allow multiple pattern matching.
You don't have to, but it's natural to do.
It's more natural.
But the other way around, you could have a multi-match in the kernel, even without having this pattern structure in the kernel. many
okay.
possible choices.
So let's say that for today, I just want to address the issue of compiling this to this. Okay. Maybe this does not mean that maybe this would be the good structure from a mathematical point of view.
But even practical.
Yes, practical point of view. But this is what we intend when we define the definition. So the bricks for that. So then there are basically 3 bricks. So the small inversion, which is to use the pattern structure, so to eliminate the impossible case, to do the implicit injection that inversion is doing. Another brick is generalization, which is already implemented. So generalization is if T1 yes, typically in the general form, if T1 appears in the type of T2, for instance, there is a generalization, what Pierre Boutillier called commutative cuts, which is a non-commutative commutative cuts because it would be ill-typed to commute it. But a beta expansion which change the type. So if T1 occurs in the type of T2, for instance, there is a generalization over T2 to capture the occurrence of T1 in the type of T2, so that inside the branch, T2 gets the new type, the refined type, refined by the constructor we are considering. You see what I mean? No? So this is the generalization. And the new ingredient that we added with Bevel is something like, maybe I could call I don't know what's the best name. I call it refinement at the current time, which is that if we have a pattern, a clause with a pattern, to have a pattern structure here leads to refine these patterns. So typically, if I have a pattern matching of vec of S de n, and I'm filtering of const n of n a v, so I have a match of something of this type with this. I know here that I have 2 successors, so there is a refinement step, which is to refine the pattern here by telling, it's necessarily S of n because we have the constraint that there should be at least two successors.
It's an irrefutable pattern.
Yes, I think it's like the irrefutable pattern of Agda. It's a terminology of Agda, except that we will need it in the pattern. We will do a true pattern matching on it. While in Agda, it's not done, I think. No. It's just informative.
So it's
small inversion, a special case of what you call refinement?
Yes. So it's refining the pattern structure with the information coming from the indices. And with this 3 brick, we are able to give a compilation algorithm. But first, at the current time, we have a very restricted form of it. And the restricted form of it is here, in the inductive types we consider, we have indices which are of this form, which means the pattern structure with this non-linear, with linear variable here. So this is a strong constraint. We have all variable occurring as the leaf of the patterns to be distinct and quantified here. So this covers the typical case of vect, for example, the type vect is in this category.
So what's the difficulty if it's non-linear?
If it's non-linear, It just means that you will have to insert equality if you want to keep all information which is around. So the non-linear, the linear form, this one, is the one where the compilation does not lose any information without introducing any equalities.
Yeah, so this is something maybe I missed, but you wanted not to lose any information. Is that the design goal? Or you're okay with partial?
I think that eventually we can do it so that we don't lose any information. This means first this kind of compilation with the compilation. Actually, what does the compilation? Basically, it treats the case of discriminate. So the case where when using the McBride style, we have cases impossible because of discriminate. It treats the case of injection, but it does not treat the other case. It does not treat acyclicity. And it doesn't treat information on things which are not patterns, like inversion do, like, I don't know, f of u equals g of v. This kind of equation in the indices are not treated by this algorithm.
And deletion. The deletion would be the treatment of
deletion. What is deletion?
When you find out that you must eliminate a proof that x is equal to x during pattern matching compilation.
Yes.
And that comes from a nonlinear problem.
Okay, so yes, so use of k, there is no use of k at all here in this algorithm. So every compilation which needs k cannot be compiled with.
That's what I was going to ask. It's known that the irrefutable patterns of Baghdad, in the end, they require that you have a k.
Yeah, but the key difference here is that you do this only when you have these patterns, the pattern structure.
I think there is recent work where they decorrelate two programs.
No, but exactly, but they remove deletion.
Okay.
But so the key thing here is that you have a structure on the indices that can be used to discriminate. And in this particular case, then you don't need k. If you wanted, before the work Cyril was referring to, they were able to discriminate as soon as you had two indices that you.
But when it's linear, there is no.
So then, if we are not in this constraint, with this constraint, we can reduce to this by just adding equality. For instance, if we have something which is not a variable, it's like we add an equality in the constructor.
And you generalize.
And we generalize. And this can be and we could be able to do it on the fly while compiling the pattern matching also if we want. So in this sense, it's yes, it's really modest because it only deals with that. So it's
But it's a common case. I mean, acyclicity is not very common.
I think it covers a lot of practical cases, at least with a type like this one.
But even on derivations.
So does that mean that we could, once we have this, we could re-implement discriminate and injection by refined match? Oh, yes, that's it.
Yes, I think yes, this is what was discussed a few weeks ago. The example mentioned by Jason yesterday. It proves discriminate with just a match on the type of the match. On injection, actually yes, probably. Okay, so I can go in now in the algorithm.
Yeah, we go.
Yes, how many times? It's already done, c'est ça?
You can take a few more minutes if you want.
I can stop here. I mean, it's if you want to know more. I can do the step of compilation. It's basically the same step, except that the structure is different.
Just a question: is it already in a branch and Which one if it is? This code.
This code, there is nothing implemented. It's just paper.
But there is a paper description. Right?
Yes, which is a bit hard to read, and with the refinement, I'm not completely satisfied with the refinement is done. So I think we can do better.
But maybe we could have a look at.
How do you do refinement actually? You're doing so you know in your example.
Yes.
You know where is it? You wrote it. So you know that the cons must contain a successor because of the index. So you're just doing a match on it?
Yes.
A match on the fresh index? And the fresh
There is
and prime?
a unification. So there is here, if I have a pattern, this pattern is a type with a pattern structure. Say Q.
Kind of reverse unification.
And we know that the term here has a type with some pattern structure, and we try to unify the pattern structure P here and Q here.
And the solution must be an assignment of variables to patterns.
Yes. So if it's not unifiable, we are in discriminate case. So there is nothing to do. And otherwise, there is a substitution, and we use this substitution to refine. Yes.
And you generalize the other arguments which might depend.
Yes. And then there is a generalization step. Yes.
Is that conduce well with multiple patterns?
Yes, I think so.
Or you must generalize all the variables of the next patterns which might depend as well.
So because of these constraints, generalization is trivial because it's only variable we have only to check occurrences of variables. So generalization, there is nothing, no second order unification needed because it's just variable. So yes, there is a systematic generalization.
Well, I mean, if you find out that P11 is contains this pattern for S of n, but then P12 depended, somehow depended on that index.
Yes.
Then that generalization to make it actually depend in the branch T1, it always works.
If P12
okay.
is well typed because of P11, by refining P11, P12 will still be well typed.
But I think
Yes.
that
So the larger question is
yes.
Linearity. Does it apply to a single inductive on which you match, term on which you match, or among all the patterns?
I think
If you do match T1 to 2.
There is linearity is expected everywhere.
Okay, so the only thing you allow is that the first term appears in the type of the second one, but indices of the first term cannot appear in the second one.
Indices of the
So y1s cannot appear in
the type of
yes,
it can, yes.
but not in P12, which was the question of Matthew.
Not in P.
Not in the next pattern on the line, but it is fine.
Yes, not in P12. Yes,
but it can in the type.
But in T2.
Yes.
in T2 or in Y2. So are the Y's?
The Y are binding variable.
Yes. Are they all distinct?
Yes, the Y variable are all distinct.
Okay, so you cannot do a pattern on vector of n and fin of n.
On the same here, T1 is of type P1 of some, I should call them Y prime. Here I will call. T1 has this type, and the Y1 also has to be linear.
Yes.
And here these are binding variable.
Yeah. But my question is, can a variable in Y1, suppose you have,
yes.
Can you do a multi-match on a vector of size n and a fin of size n?
Yes.
Okay, so that's not that's non-linear.
that's not linear between two
Yeah, each of them
terms,
is linear.
but locally, the type of each one is linear. Yes. Okay, so I wanted to show you just as a demo. Yes.
But I thought there was no code, so.
Because I made it by hand. I compiled by hand.
Ah. I don't know. Matthew is the next speaker for me.
I'll be quick.
I'm fine, but.
I can put it on the web.
What form does it have? Is it a text file? Or?
Yes, it's a text file.
So maybe you could share it so that we have a look.
It's a Coq file.
Yes, it's a Coq file.
Yeah, but I mean we can share it. And
if you want, yes, I can put it in the. So it was to highlight, but maybe I can do it just on the so this is the example I sent on Coq Dev once. So it's still quite horrible, but you take the isomorphism between fin2 and bool. So you have a function g from fin2 to bool, and the canonical function from bool to fin2, and you want to prove that it's an isomorphism. So I think with equation you should write this just like this. It should work, I guess. So with this algorithm, we should be able also to just write this with this term. So what do we observe quickly? So that in the structure there is pattern matching on the indices which is inserted. Otherwise, we have this. So this is so there is a lot of match of complex return clause, but in the computational structure we had extra, so computation which is not necessarily visible here on the indices. While if we use a dependent destruction, we have the same structure of compilation, except that we have match on equality. So it's just to say that the structure, after all, is roughly the same. It's the same structure, except that we replace induction on equalities, pattern matching on equalities, by equalities on indices, on the pattern structure of the indices.
Well, I would not say they're the same then, because if you extract the different destruction version, you get the same computational behavior as the initial definition.
Yes, that's right.
But not the other one.
Yes, so in this sense, effectively, if you extract pattern matching equation, you have it's more optimized with dependent destruction.
But it cannot reduce this term. I mean, you
Yes, there is
the equalities to be transparent.
Yes, there is an axiom K here.
Yeah, but we can.
But
we
I
can
think
remove
what Cyprien is doing is to be able to remove it.
Yeah, we can remove this.
It's more when you generate equalities that you need to then simplify. I believe it's in the case where you are not linear, as you said that you want to add equalities to keep the information. Where you can try to still reduce these equalities and still not use scale. And that's sort of when
Yeah, we can remove this axiom. But the question on your definition, you're doing match on and knowing that it's one. So somehow the matches that you add, they are irrefutable. Due to typing information, you know that it's going to be a one.
Yes.
So it's kind of that code. Except that sometimes you might bind a variable there.
Yes, and this information is carried with a Malbright style. It's carried with a equality, information that one N1 can only be U1, when here it's explicit.
But my point was that it was much better from a computational point of view, because we are only reducing on actual terms and not on equality.
Yeah, but the equalities are actual terms.
Yeah, but
So yes, they
where does
always
the
match.
accurate come from? I mean, from a computational point of view, that's.
But they are dummies.
Yeah, but that's an issue. That's what you call an issue.
Right.
If you need to perform dummy computation, then your computation model is not.
But you're also doing dummy computation.
No,
you know
not
that someone.
you are only matching on actual values on the element of finitude, not on the indices, not on the.
Yes, you're matching on the indices.
No,
Match on N1 is.
No, N1 is an element of fin1. It's not.
N1 is a natural number. It's not a fin.
Yes, this one is natural.
You're matching
Oh,
on the index structure.
sorry. I thought it was the. Okay, I missed this time.
You're matching on the index structure.
There is more match, yes, more case analysis than you do in OCaml.
Indeed, there are two extra matches, yes.
So can we move on?
Hein?
Non, on va pas non, tout de suite. Non, on va jamais finir.
Mais je crois qu'on va faire.
On va pas se faire
Ah.
ouais, de toute façon, je vais mettre les slides.
Non?
Ouais, j'ai pas d'HDMI direct, moi. Si?
Je vais parler dans la gauche. Mais je vais t'intervenir. C'est quand même ton compte. Je vais parler dans mais je vais me faire oui, 3 minutes. Je vais parler 5 minutes. Bon, d'abord, il est là. Est-ce qu'il était là? Non, c'était possible.
Non, ça marchait pas. Enfin, ça marchait pas hier. Je sais pas comment.
Je vérifie s'il y a du son.
Vérifier s'il y a du son.
C'est déjà fait.
C'est bon, il y a du son normalement.
Et oui, ben, on voit quelque chose.
C'est vrai? Bien? Ouais?
C'est sur l'écran.
Okay. So I'm just going to talk a little bit about some work I've been doing with Theo and Jeremy Koenig. Oh, I'm editing. That's no good. I'll come back to it once I can go to the next slide. Presentation. If I do this, what does it do?
But you are still in edit mode.
Why?
So do you need to finish your
Hey.
slide?
That's the future, writing your slides live.
Ça marche? Nope.
There is a delay. Ah no. Okay.
C'est horrible. Sorry for that. Rehearse? No. Yeah, I don't know why I'm in edit mode. How can I go to the next slide? I don't know. Anyone have any idea?
Okay, end of this talk.
Let's do this. Go back.
Okay,
This
you're
one.
gonna have to wrap up.
Not full screen. And then screen share. Almost. Yes. Okay. So Jeremy is working at Yale with Zhongchao on the Certicos project, and he's been developing a library on monotonicity and proving monotonicity results about relations. I mean, he's doing that to solve simulation proofs in OS verification or compiler verification. And there's also been work by Theo during his internship with Hugo on doing transfer of theorems along isomorphisms. So the idea would be that if you can prove that there is an isomorphism between NAT and N, then you can transfer the induction principle on NAT to the induction principle on N using some generic lemmas. And both are using proof search to actually do this computation of the new, either of the new induction principle, or in the case of Coq World, to solve this simulation, this relational goals. And they use a similar setup as a generalized rewriting. So the thing that is used inside a set-weight rewrite context of rewriting, and prove that this context P is a morphism for some relation R, usually historically homogeneous relation. So from your lemma, which was saying that T was related to U, you will prove that P of T implies P of U or inverse false, so that you can refine a goal P of T to P of U or a hypothesis. Okay, for Coq World, actually, the idea is to solve general relational goals, RTU, by resolution, using actually heterogeneous relations. And transfer is a different kind of goal, where you don't know what is on the other side of your relation. And you're trying to find both a proof that RTU holds, and but actually instantiate the right-hand side using a set of specific lemmas. And I guess Coquille is using the same kind of
solving. I mean, we do both actually.
Yeah.
Except we don't solve goals of the form RTU by resolution usually, but we solve them by parametricity in our case, because almost all of them are of this form. And in order to do the refinement, we solve all of the form RT and var to find the refinement.
So the question I was asking myself after looking at these things is, how would I do to make rewriting more dependent? And actually to handle heterogeneous relations like is done in transfer. So can we mix all these ideas in a single framework? And the central definition that's used by all these three previous tools is this class related, which gives you a weakness that M and N are related by R for an heterogeneous relation R. And basically the central definition of set-weight rewrite, which was proper, is just one instance of this definition, where the relation is homogeneous, and you have the two same terms on the left and the right. Okay. One big change, if you move to heterogeneous equivalent relations, is that the usual arrow that was used in the set-weight rewrite becomes very dependent. You take two types, two predicates, a relation on the domains, a dependent relation on the codomains to give a relation on the formal types. And this and you're going to use the notation of Jeremy Koenig, who has many cases where he actually needs that to do his proofs on logical, logical relation proofs. And it's going to be noted with this forward. So an example morphism that you can write. So let's say you have this Const constructor for this. You can say for any two equivalent types A and B, if alpha is a proof of equivalence between them. And the first element, first A and B are related by alpha. The lists themselves are pointwise related by alpha. Then I get pointwise related with this Const. Where this alpha R is saying that applying the equivalence alpha to an element in A gives you an equal element in B. So it's really proof relevant here. Using the notion of relevant. So from this kind of relevant and dependent relations, you can actually declare a morphism for the for all quantifiers that allows you to rewrite inside the body of a for all using information about the domains, which was not possible before. And what practically does it give you? You have the ability now to do different rewrites in the sense that if I have this goal here, where I have m equal to n prime, according to some equality relation, I have two proofs that one proof that m is non-zero and another that n prime is non-zero. So these two applications of division expecting a proof that second argument is non-zero are well typed. But if I want to do rewriting, I'm going to need to do a kind of heterogeneous writing here. So when I rewrite with the equality m prime, I get a goal where I must show relation between the two proofs, Pn and Pn prime, where I have some writing done. So they can actually solve by reflexivity here.
So here you don't modify Pn prime, right?
Yeah. It's you have an equiracty with a proof of with a proof.
So how do you know that Pn prime and Pn are going to be the same?
Approx.
So
I proof relevance, I think.
But so then, if you have proof relevance,
no, I don't need it.
rewrite
Actually, I can use the relation that I asked. So I'm showing, something is missing here. That the morphism that I declare for div shows that div does not depend on its argument. So the relation is the true relation. I don't need to show anything.
But how is that proven?
By induction.
So
It's not automatic, that part.
No,
because there is a real argument here, which is the
You could
independence
say
on the
it's-
specific proof of the.
So it's something that you forgot to put in the context.
Yeah.
Okay.
Part of the context.
And that part is still manual.
Yes.
But then,
Oh, yeah.
I'm a bit surprised. Okay.
You could show that non-zero is an H-prop as well.
So can you say the statement of the missing thing? It's like for all M and N, and for
all P and Q, div of N and P is equal to div of N prime, M prime, Q prime. Knowing that N is equal to N prime, M is equal to N.
But so what is doing the job of applying this lemma?
Type class resolution, like the proper morphism that is inferred for cons, for div.
But so in this case, if you didn't have this machinery, you take the lemma that you just explained, you generalize every occurrences of M and M prime.
Yeah, you can apply it. Yeah, it's a very
usual rewrite.
No, you're not going to use rewrite. You're going to use explicit congruence reasoning.
EQ and M prime is not. It's not like this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you could use the.
In the end, it's always congruence reasoning. That's the way it's implemented.
The thing is, it's only one congruence here. If it was a bigger term, it would.
Okay, so the main difficulty when we are trying to do type class resolution for this is the cut rule.
So we had this last year.
The fact that when you want to rewrite f of c to something, then you don't know exactly which relation you want on f. you might have many relations declared, many signatures or proper instances declared for the same constant. And actually, in the dependence autonomous case, the more general signature you can find is this very dependent relation. That say that maybe the result of the application depends both on the two arguments and the relation that was used and the proof of the relations on the arguments. So if you do it naively, you get very hard to solve higher order unification problems during resolution. So what we're looking at is how to. Actually, Coq has exactly the same problem.
And Coquille,
and Coquille has the same problem.
So did you look at what was done in Coquille?
No.
Can you repeat your?
We had the same problem in Coquille, and we solved it. I think using the same.
Same thing as Benjamin.
What?
Same thing as Benjamin.
Benjamin.
Oh, Jérémy, pardon.
I don't know what his solution, but if it's introducing a new variable and then unifying, doing a pattern unification, and then unifying what you found with the new.
Yes.
Yeah, that's it.
Pretty much. Yes. So actually, Jérémy already had this.
I mean, I'm sorry to ask, but why did he reinvent the wheel instead of looking at what was done
in Coquille?
In Coquille?
I don't know.
Yeah, Coquille.
Yeah, it was not documented.
Yeah.
You
I mean-
here? I buy that.
So you already had a kind of a resolution, and it's actually much more structured resolution than what was done in the C2 rewrite. Yes, dependency and heterogeneous relations. You can carry and carry relations, and resolution does the same. And it's focused resolution in the sense that it introduces two classes for introduction and elimination forms, with which we can really drive the group search. I found that pretty clever. You can adapt it to do transfer as well. And it's relatively mature. It's been used in this Certicos project. So we are currently experimenting with strategies for HAP, so either trying to solve the general higher order unification problem or find heuristics where you have information on the morphism you're looking at, so you can generate a natural signature for it. I think that's pretty much it. Okay. Some more questions that we have is, can we handle subrelations efficiently? So the subtyping between signatures, which was part of, which is part actually of Z-read rewriting. And another question is that the respectful arrow that we use for signatures is actually not the arrow in the category of relations, it's something else. So we are wondering if we could apply some results of Damien Pousse on decidable tactics for relational algebra to this algebra, which seems a bit weird. And actually, we already know that even just with inverse, Damien's results do not apply directly. So we're looking at this kind of questions too.
I'm a bit uneasy. I feel a bit uneasy with your example because it's pretty relevant examples.
Oh, yeah, it was just a dummy example, yeah.
I was wondering, if we take an example where.
Oh, yeah, you can make it
proof relevant.
Yeah.
So, for instance, I was wondering if this could help solving an issue I have often, which is to rewrite modulo like pointwise equality between complicated stuff.
Yes, you can do that.
Because this amounts to rewriting under very dependent, possibly very dependent phi, and you want to rewrite using pointwise equivalence and components.
Yeah.
Would that be a use case?
Yeah, you can do it.
I'm very sad to see that because we failed miserably in publishing, people redo the work, although, I mean, there are always some good in it. But, so how are you going to make sure that the third person doesn't redo everything again? Is this published? Is it
documented? Yeah.
Documented.
So we already documented it at Coq and it's going to be part of this thesis. So
well, but it was part of the thesis too.
Yeah.
Or is it-
There's still time to document.
Yeah.
Not everything was undocumented. The unification thing was, it's recent. It's from last, just before summer. But this heterogeneous.
The link
class
between
of heterogeneous relation. It's I mean it's in Maxime Davis and it's in.
Oh yeah, it's everywhere. Yeah,
It's
I know.
everywhere.
Yeah.
So yeah,
That's not so surprising.
Well, said otherwise, it's a bit surprising that with this goal in mind, Jeremy didn't start by looking at least the documented part.
Or talking to us.
He probably did.
He never
Maybe
contacted us.
no.
I'm sorry, but it's very difficult to know that this kind of thing can be found in Coq.
Hmm.
I mean, if you.
Where you have the paper, financial freedom. Exactly.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I'm afraid this paper is a short paper.
It is. No, I mean, I
think.
I started by saying we fell miserably.
In my case, the refinement of free paper was really a major inspiration for my work, but I think I still kind of rediscovered some of the things that you were already aware of, even though I had read many times the paper. So.
No, but I mean, we need someone whose job is to write papers to do it.
Right.
Anyway, yeah.
Indeed.
More questions? No?
Where is the code?
Did I even explain the plan? No. Okay. So Cockrell is on GitHub. Rewrite Strat is a new GitHub project which just has generalization of the current situated rewrite. And the goal, what we're working on right now, but I didn't hear from Jeremy for a while, is to actually make rewrite just generate the constraints, remove all the resolution stuff from it, and then use Cockrell to actually discharge these constraints. Yeah.
All right. Enrico, you think you can do the small talk on this? Or otherwise, we can also skip it.
If you need time, we can skip it. Otherwise,
I think we can take time from the group there.
But I want to talk.
No, but the lunch was 12 in the program of today, and I think it's probably fine to do it on Thursday.
Tu as déjà mis?
Ouais, j'ai décidé demain.
Ça peut marcher.
C'est pas ça. C'est pas là pour toi. Non,
Il n'y a pas d'autres câbles? Si, il y a un câble là-bas.
This is not related to the same type.
Matej, it seems you merged twice the same commit. You merged the second time a commit that was already started. It's the pull request on the compat flag. So I don't know what happened exactly, but now the history is a bit messed up.
It's a bit.
But you also spotted a very nice typo.
Maybe this is a streaming.
Or maybe
Yep.
well, since the function is the function of the string to that. The other way around to the string. There was a typo. It was a small b.
Yeah, but that's because we ignore warnings.
And so then it was a variable, so you could match all the.
Okay.
But I don't think it was in your code. Okay, so I just
Well, sort of best effort. Anyway,
So we need to see them. All right, so Enrico is going to complain about, talk about Coq Makefile.
No, it's more of a joke than a talk. Anyway, so when I turn my head left, Maxime assigns me a bug. When I turn it right, it assigns me the maintenance of a component of Coq. I suffer of neck pain, so sometimes I can't turn my neck, so I can survive. So then you start to look at the bugs of Coq Makefile, and you kind of see weird things. Here I made a very simple project with just one file and one directory, so it's the most simplest thing you find. And then you run the Makefile produced by Coq Makefile, and you start to see clever things. For example, this is a path, is the name of a binary, so it's between quotes, because if in case the path contains a space, then this helps. This is a path between quotes, good, this is a path between quotes, wow. Then in the second line compiling, this is a path between quotes, this is a path between quotes, this is a path not between quotes. And then say, well, how that is possible? Anyway, then you start to install the thing, and then you start to see very complicated lines. So this install is a command that copies a file in a directory, and this is the beginning of a quote, and then we backtick, so we call a program that is called deal name, and we pass to it something that is a path, but it starts with an empty string that the shell glues together with this other string that is a path, so it's between quotes, and then it also glued with a piece of the path that is not between quotes, and then we close, and then the variable comes from here, so is it expanded between quotes or not? I have to tell. Then you close the deal name execution, you close the quote. So clearly it works, miracle, but it's weird. And of course, then you look at the source code.
And it also works on Windows.
Mostly, if you have spaces, no, because this line fails badly compiling the file. So no, it's not really true, but okay, anyway.
It's not that it works also on Windows. This ugly mess is made for trying to work on Windows.
So my rant is absolutely not about.
That's the very point where we should be far simpler and just stop trying to work with Windows. It's just a mess.
That's not my point.
No, but okay, I have to say it's not completely true, because if you have a space,
even on Linux, this breaks.
Anywhere,
keep it simple and stupid.
My point.
If you have a space in the path,
it's my talk.
That's your problem. You don't shoot yourself in the foot. Your problem. I don't care. We should not care for that.
I do, because I'm the maintainer of.
You don't care. I care because I need to get money from guys who.
No, anyway. So it has nothing to do with Windows. It has nothing to do with Windows. And anyway, I'm completely. No, because even on Linux, if you put a space in your path, in your thing.
Nobody does that on Linux. It's just
nobody does that. If someone is using Ubuntu on a French local, then you have space
in your desktop.
So your point is don't use Ubuntu, but lots of people are using Ubuntu.
Your point is don't care about users.
Anyway, quiz, something funny. Quiz, then you look at the sources.
We educate users and just keep up with all the stupidity of the world.
Don't worry, Enrico, you'll get more time.
We are not going to teach people not to put spaces themselves.
Oh, yes.
We are not in that position.
Yes. Just stop all bugs.
Anyway, even if there are no spaces, the code of Coq Makefile is weird, and then you should look at quiz, and everybody is guilty because everybody touched this code. So I blame the thing and I say, oh, this is. So everybody. The point is quiz. Okay. So I know. Maybe I should tell how it works. Sorry. Coq Makefile produces a Makefile file, and this is already mixed in two languages. The shell one, that is a pain because of quotes escaping, etc. And it embeds this language for the command that you execute in make rules with the language of make. So you have already an escaping problem because, for example, $ is something that you use in the shell, but also make, so you have to escape it. And you're doing that, you are producing this language with an embedded language in using camel, that is another language, and using the strings of camels. So when you put quotes inside the string of camels, clearly you have. So there are three languages that are nested. Okay.
Can I comment on that?
No.
I will on this. The way it's handled in the Makefile, not in Coq Makefile, but in the Makefile, is that we just keep as far as possible as the shell. There is as little as shell commands as possible.
Okay.
In Makefile. We should not see something like 4e in blah blah blah. That's just not the Makefile way to do things, and then you end up with mess.
Okay. It does not. My plan is to make it simpler, even simpler. Okay, I think just that the status quo is bizarre, so I wanted to make not to irritate people, just to show how funny things are and how simpler they could be. I hope. So the quiz is: this is the camel printf printing a string. It generates a piece of text with a call to printf, and this is the string of printf, and then this is a shell redirection into this guy. And here there's an end of line. So the quiz is, to which level this end of line is supposed to go? And then you say, okay, so it's an OCaml string, so here you have 2, 4, no, quiz, 6. No, there are 6, 4, 5 plus this one, 6. So after one level of the escaping, there are 3. So there is still a backslash that goes before the carriage return character. So okay, I couldn't solve the quiz, but clearly
what? No. We want the solution.
No. That's homework. Okay. So what I think should be done. Of course, fixing bugs on this code is hard. Not only the escape ones, when you try to add a new flag or something like that. It's a bit complicated to understand what goes on. And what my plans are is that Coq Makefile becomes an utility that still understands the same syntax and the same configuration file, but takes one single Makefile that is written once and for all, and that you can read, because this is hard to read, that's my problem, that you can read, and that puts it in the current directory, or where you tell it to put it, and it translates the options that you give to it into another Makefile that is just a configuration one, so it contains just variable assignments, that is read by the other Makefile. So that we see what the users see, because here, every time you call Coq Makefile, it produces a different Makefile because it tries to optimize things, in the sense that there are if constructs in the shell language, if constructs in the make language, and if constructs in the OCaml language, and it tries to optimize things by running all the conditionals in OCaml so that you get a minimalistic Makefile, a minimal Makefile, sorry. And it means that every time a user reports a bug, you have first to find out how to produce a Makefile that contains the erroneous piece of text, understand from which part of this code this piece of text comes from, and fix it. So it's way simpler if we share with the user the same view on the Makefile and fix a Makefile, and just parameterize it by what the user passes to Coq Makefile. That's mostly my plan. And that's mainly it. Sorry, I started a little fight, but
that's all.
Yeah. So, do you see? I mean, this is my plan. Do you see problems? That was sorry. I wanted to ask for comments to this plan.
Please go.
When will it ship?
After 8.6. I mean, there's no point in doing it now. Yeah. I think it's not such a complicated plan. You call Coq Makefile, making sure that all the if things are true, so you generate the largest Makefile possible, then you look at it and you try to clean it up of the double, triple quotes, whatever they are. And then you try to parameterize it with a set of variables that are declared in the configuration file generated by Coq Makefile.
So that means that a lot of if then else statements are going to be present in the Makefile.
That's a good question. Make has already, a rule in a Makefile that is not needed. For example, a rule for stuff that contains plugins, ML plugins. Okay, the rule can be there. It explains make how to compile ML file. But if you don't have ML files in your project, this part of the makefile is dead code, but it's not hurting you. Today, the Coq makefile tries to produce the minimal ones. So you say, oh, you don't have a makefile. Let's remove this part. So you have a lot of ifs there that actually would end up in dead code in the final makefile. Also, if you see the final makefile, you can comment it. You can organize it in a way that maybe it's more readable, right? Here, all the ifs are spread everywhere because there is a piece of, for example, this part here, I think is producing an uninstallation command or shell script. So you don't even have a clear view of the structure of the makefile you are producing. But yes, there will be. I think that most of the ifs can be implicit in the syntax of make. It's not that we'll end up with if then else somewhere. Okay. I hope so, at least.
I create initially the
Ah.
first level of
yes,
of meta.
yes. Yeah, that's true.
So the makefile actually produces
a script to install things, a shell script to install things.
Anyways, the point is that one tool for guiding all the situation in the world is just a nightmare. Don't do that. We should just not acknowledge some request by user for this tool and say your request is very, very, very specific. You need to do some specific tool. Not have this makefile at the beginning to be huge and huge and even huger.
And there is some truth
stuff.
in that, but having Windows is not a specific situation. You cannot call it.
So you are responsible for the thing?
No, I'm not responsible. I don't think so.
Because no, there are reports quite funny that say that if unfortunately the Coq install variable is not set, then the script errors your hard drive.
What? Oh my god.
You mean it's an open bug report? Or?
Oh yeah.
You know that and you speak well?
This one?
Yes, CD the Coq install in RM.
So CD Coq install followed by
find and remove.
But
yeah,
there is a string.
It's not recursive, right? So there's a find with def1.
Okay.
And actually, it's not just only that on Windows you have white space in the path. I do know that also have this kind of idiotic behavior on some Linux. It's far.
I know.
The quoting convention is where the binary are, etc., etc. Everything is different on this platform.
Yeah, I think there is a misunderstanding. I was not advocating for Windows as a very nice operating system. I was just saying I need a job. Some people who have money to pay for it, they are running Windows.
Job in the same tool as, let's say, Unix, POSIX stuff is just a bad idea. We should be.
Sure, I wanted to protect my password manager.
So you would remove the Coq completely?
No, not completely. If do the job when it's simple. When something gets
okay, so
it's not the job of
I'll try to be very quick, although there will probably be some discussion because it's the whole point of this small talk. Well, it's not really a talk. So I had written three points on which I would hope that we can clarify the current policy together. Maybe I'll start with the what I think is the least controversial one. So a few weeks ago, Pierre suggested that we might rename trunk to master, and I think Emilio had mentioned it already. So two questions I would have. Is there any opposition to that renaming?
What's the point?
So the point is just to be closer to the usual Git land.
Yeah, but what does it bring?
Well, it brings clarity of well, people usually know what the master branch is for. It's like the current development branch. It's a convention, naming convention. So it brings that for newcomers. It's one thing less to learn because it's the usual naming convention that they have. I mean, it's a small gain, but I think also the cost is very, very small. So,
does this interface puts you on trunk by default, or how does GitHub chooses the?
You can choose it.
Yeah.
Yes, it's a pain because.
So, but maybe before what I would like to know is that is there any cost that we might have forgotten about, or is it just a rename? Is it basically for free?
The only way to discover it is to try.
No, we have to change on the script.
That's scary.
Every script for Git is assuming master.
No, for instance, you have to change the script on the continuous integration server.
Yeah, but this is your own script. But if you go to all the tools using Git, all the tools assume a master branch.
Yeah, so
even
you
if
have to
can pick
specify.
them,
It's
so
very.
in deposit, you have to pick all the tools and the script.
Yeah, but we're using much less Git tools than things that rely on the same thing.
So Coq is a line by line change on the Coq tools, but then you for everybody using Git.
Well, I think Pierre knows about this.
I'm probably responsible for more than half of the script that might mention trunk.
Yes.
And I'm okay to adapt them, and the other responsible for the other half of the scripts that mention trunk is probably Batay on Git, and it's probably no problem as well. So if we decide to do it, we'll do it.
So it will be free for you.
Where are these scripts?
Yeah, so this is a very good point. So we would need to have a central location and on GitHub where all these scripts are shared to know where to know where they are running, because they're not all running on the same user cron or things like that. So we need to have a more systematic. Some of them are running under matches. So when, for instance, when I see something that breaks, very often, I know roughly what script is responsible, but I don't know. I have root access to the probably the real the right machine. But then it's like trying to know, okay, is it Pierre, is it Mathieu, is it me? So we would need to be more systematic.
This is a little matter of
and to a version.
Having a history of everything we do, and some of the scripts that we're talking about, they are not part of the Coq repository, so we need to.
Yeah, but maybe the answer is a migration of a part of Coq DevTools with only the scripts to GitHub.
One thing,
yeah. This is a point I would delete this after 8.6.
Oh yes, the renaming I would do it.
My main fear is
that an alias.
Most of the script will still continue to work because they will still have.
And they would repush the trunk branch.
No, but they will have as local trunk branch. There will be no change on the other side, even if the branch is deleted. And so the script, maybe we will not notice for several months that they are currently broken.
The plan is to remove.
But even if you remove it, that doesn't change anything. The script
this is an argument.
Works just fine.
If we are not branch that does not exist.
It works. No. You need to do git pull minus p to prune a branch that does not exist. The thing is, your argument is an argument for the change. Your argument is an argument for the change, because if that is the situation, then the situation has to be fixed. So in fact, your argument is precisely for the.
No, I think Guillaume's point is that there is a side of this change that's purely psychological. Okay. So I think that was the original point. Was the real game, objective game. I think there is a bit, because I mean, having a standard layout is always better than having something weird for no reason. Because some tools assume that you are in the standard solution. Otherwise, we fall in it. For Git programmers, we are in the specific case because we rename stuff and we don't have a master branch. So some of them will. So there is a bit of game.
What happens to the pull request of
it seems. No, so now I know the answer. So there is Git and GitHub. Okay. From Git, it's no difference, because what matters is if the name of the branch has changed, but the commit on which it's based is the same, it doesn't make any difference.
Changing the name of a branch
for Git. For GitHub, it does, because when you do a pull request, you submit the name of a base branch. That's a GitHub information. But I did this the other day with one of the pull requests I merged, and it worked fine.
What happens if we remove the trunk branch and there are open pull requests on that branch?
That I don't know.
No.
This is a good point. Maybe they are closed. This is a good point. Yes.
Yeah, should try it before
test the branch.
But anyways, if they're pending pull requests and they are closed, this is like a good point for the author to maybe remind what's going on with the pull requests. Many pull requests are ignored. Yeah,
Sure,
are ignored even trivial ones. They stay weeks, and then people say, "Oh, well, this button is not fixed." And then
This
the
is
pull
the
request.
pull request that I think is something that can be moved, edited more if you repropose a new patch, something like that. So
yeah, no, but the thing is that the pull request on GitHub is only a pointer to a commit. So if you push again on the branch, it updates automatically the pull request.
Yeah.
So that's what you. But there is one exception, which is the base, the tag saying which branch it's based on. This is harder to change. Although I think GitHub is maybe they added this.
They just added this functionality was the most requested item in the website.
So let's put it out there. If we are very careful first to not forget about any script, so we try to know about all scripts, we fix all scripts that mention Coq trunk.
Packages in distribution architecture, I don't know, probably they follow that script.
For trunk?
Get being with high major distribution.
But we need to advertise it a bit before doing it. But I don't know, I'm a bit split on this.
When we advertise it, we need to explain, answer the question that you asked. What is it?
What's the game?
No, just plain no. Coq is as everybody expects to be. So I mean,
no, but think about it. When we first moved to Git, I advocated for moving to master. When people answered me, it would break too many scripts to get from master. And now suddenly,
that was a mistake.
Yes,
you were
I
right.
was
You were right.
master, and now
Everything is fine. Okay. You are still right.
But the problem is you're always right. One move ahead. You're right.
Let's write things down. Let's write things down and advertise the discussion.
But except we find it. Except we need to be precautious and advertise it.
To answer the question about the branch that are followed by Debian, etc., I don't think they follow
trunk
because they are interested in releases.
In stable branches.
Stable releases. So I don't think. Maybe they follow trying to know when something happens, but I'm not even sure.
But is it better to be right late or to stay wrong? It's hard matter.
Is it a bad idea, more confident if we have both?
Oh no,
yes,
it's
a bad idea. It's a bad idea.
It's only the situation because frequently somebody make a mistake and push a master.
Yeah, can you make an alias?
But branches are aliases for commit hashes anyway. So they're already aliases.
You can do that.
No, I don't think you can make an alias from one branch.
I can manually synchronize the two branches.
No, please, no. Let's use excluded middle for one.
You can just post the script which replicates any commit to master to trunk.
No, please, no. I mean, we're not going to spend time. It's better to take a decision and maybe say we don't change it. That's fine, I think. But or we decide we change it. But let's not decide we don't decide.
My feeling is that what we do with trunk or being trunk master is just a matter for the code development.
Yeah.
Because what really matters to the outside world are the releases.
Yeah, well, it would be better to still advertise it. But,
the psychological argument is a practice for example.
Yeah, you mean young people are a bit too rigid in their mind?
Who are against the 300 people?
No, wait.
I'm not against. I just want things to be written down.
Well, you proposed a change.
I'm in favor.
Yeah. And Guillaume, I mean, he's just one move ahead, so it's a different story.
So I mean, this is life. I mean, what's a mistake? You change it, you fix the scripts. You can also take the opportunity to make a list in the wiki or whatever of the scripts that broke, so you have some documentation.
So I suggest that the fixes the script says Guillaume was right.
And what if it breaks everything?
Well, then we'll see, but we can experiment.
We can experiment first.
No, but it's also a good opportunity to make the script version control.
And to have a directory of what they are.
I was thinking that there's not so many scripts.
Yeah.
For the moment, there is just 5 liners that do the sync.
Yeah, the sync between GitHub.
And it's just time dead.
But just for example, the Jenkins jobs pointing to repos, they say the git URL plus the name.
Yeah. But it's easy to, it's very easy. One example of a benefit is count how many times a master branch was created on GitHub by mistake.
Yes.
And it's this will not happen because I don't think they will create trunk branches and everything.
Yes.
Although that's fine.
You will add all timers that will be nostalgic of track and shit.
So you should reject.
That's part of the migration. If you don't reject trunk for
yeah, you should put a hook that rejects any branch called trunk on the main. And this will also make the small script actually break, so we could observe.
Automatic pushing.
It would be nice to anyway to set a date and an email that tells, okay, this morning you have to type this comment so that you get ready.
Sure, yeah. Well, I think Pierre is probably the best to at least make the list of things to care about in terms of script and so on. So and then we have a plan. We can, I guess the 3 of us probably we can.
Yeah, I can
do the technical and check that everything.
So this was the least controversial point.
Yeah. Now I'm scared too. So then what's the least controversial? Oh no, maybe okay. One slightly.
On the same topic, I also mentioned the possible switch from GeForce to GitHub, and I would not do that. I would suggest not to do that now, since it's in the air at GitLab.
Yeah,
arrive on in here.
Yeah.
So I would prefer to wait a few months.
Yeah,
but few months to see what happens.
My reading of the exchanges that I saw was that people seem to be in favor, but since of a migration to a Git like not JForge, GitHub or GitLab basically, but that people wanted to wait for exactly this to know if. It's the feeling I had by reading it.
Anyway, even if GitLab just appears, let's say today, it's not completely perfect, since it will propose also a pull request mechanism, but it's maybe not that easy to just take the existing pull request and migrate it on another system.
Also, I think GitLab proposes.
I think it's probably doable anyway. As you said, it's just commits. So maybe all the comments on the pull request might maybe not so easy to
and probably we need
re-import. But at least the code, no problem.
We need to think also a bit about the bug tracking system, maybe, because I mean there is one. So one thing today that is a bit unsatisfactory is that when we mention a bug in a pull request, so these days we work on bugs in the thousands and on pull requests in the hundreds. So it's okay, but one day it might change, and then we'll start having wrong references.
According to GitLab documentation, they are supposed to be able to import pull requests from GitLab.
Yes, that's what I.
What do you mean about numbers?
When you in your comment you mentioned
bug number or something,
yeah, but well, GitHub tries to resolve it. But
an issue?
To an issue or a pull request. Pull requests are internally the same thing as issues. But so that today never matches basically. So when we have a Bugzilla, it's a change. And then you would have a link to a wrong issue.
Anyway, there's absolutely no attachment to the document Zilla.
It's not bad. It's
the job more or less. Indeed, we want to be able to speak about bugs in this kind of commits message and so on. Would be nice.
I think we're using features of Bugzilla that are not
the idea of migration, because the idea of migration would instantly break all the references. That is, all references from one bug to the other, like that. And we could devise scripts to just re-enumerate everything, but
I was not advocating to do
that. Remember that even the mail archive contains bug numbers. So the way these names are spread is
it's important.
And also, I think, for instance, I don't know the GitLab bug tracker, but the Git issue system, I think, has not even the functionalities that we use today.
Yeah, you can just put text, basically.
Yeah.
You cannot put.
Yeah, now we use it. Anyway, so this I think, but we could think a bit about this, but okay. So the second point was, yeah, I'm very late. The second point, okay, I'm not going to show the code, but we have this dash compat flag in Coq. And so I believe today it still accepts, I mean, it still parses 8.2 as an argument, which it probably rejects 8. Or 8.1.
No, it rejects 8.1, that's for sure.
But it parses it. Yeah? So there is some code that mentions 8.1. It just figures an error. Yeah. But it's not like having no code for it. Then 8.2, I don't remember what it does. 8.3 it accepts. 8.4 it does. So my question is, my question is, okay, this is not going to scale. So how many? Okay. First question probably, because I talked with Pierre-Marie to have his position, so, because he couldn't be here and so on. He said, he says that often to working groups, that this flag system is probably not the right thing, right? Because it's very global. But anyway, since this is what we have today, there is a question for this particular compatibility system, which is how many versions do we want to support back in time? And I think we need to have an answer because we need to cut somewhere. So today it's infinity.
Is that we accept any option, but what technically works? I mean, how many versions do we?
My guess would be none. Would be.
Yeah.
No, yeah, but we need to remove that code. Yeah, but yeah, especially it's not just parsing the flag, of course. Yeah, we have all the compatibility layers spread in the code that are today are not actually dead code in the sense of the code analysis because they have entry points. But once we remove that, we might notice that some parts of the code can be safely removed. Yeah. And so to answer Enrico's question, my answer would be none, and for a good reason. You're asking how many versions work. I would say none because we don't test that. And have this working without testing. No, but what we should do is use the dash compat flag on the benchmark that we have. And this we never did on the benchmark of the previous version. And this would be a real test. No, the test we have today is we do it. If JSON complains, we fix it. This is not a real testing system, but it may be fine.
I tried to do it. It's possible. I made a mistake.
Okay. Yeah, we could have a Jenkins thing to do that. It would be interesting. But okay, and so that was the rough answer. Then clearly it's working better if you put combat 8.5 in 8.6 than it was if you put 8.4. And that was even better than in 8.3. So it's working better and better probably. Yeah. I would say. There was more and more effort put in.
What does it compile with 8.5?
Sorry?
I can tell you what does not compile using 8.6 with 8.55.
No, but that's fine. My question was more if it has compat 8.3. It is accepted, and then?
It runs.
I mean, if we lie saying that you can enable a compatibility for 8.3, I think it has to go.
Well,
yeah,
why would it be a lie?
Because in fact it doesn't work. It doesn't. No, okay. I think there are two because we need to make progress. There are two orthogonal issues. The quality of these flags in the past and now and so on. So this is something. Okay. 8.3 it won't work well because there was. Today we put much more effort in this flag than we used to. Okay. But this is an orthogonal issue too. How many do we want to win? This is in the long term.
Yeah.
The flag should be called previews rather than.
Maybe we could have a fixed number of these flags.
It was related to the timing of the release.
Indeed, so there is a correlation because it would be natural if we have a short release cycle to support a bit more versions back than for long. But I am not implying that since we were supporting 5 versions back in a long release cycle, we should support 10 in a short one. Certainly not implying that. So my own take would be 2 or 1.
Mine should be 2.
Two, yeah, I would.
Hopefully, we should be always compatible with the previous one.
Okay. When you're back.
The flag makes sense. We should support the.
Yeah, I think too. It's also my favorite.
Should be also the deprecation cycle.
Yes.
Yeah.
With warning detector.
And this should be documented.
What?
The deprecation cycle, the fact that
yes,
we support only 2 versions back. But people should update someday.
Yeah.
So do you have any, is there any other?
We have a need to understand what are the practices. You know, we were shocked to discover at the deep state meeting that the people at Yale were still working with 8.4 because the concept was not new.
Yes.
So, and from what Xavier told us yesterday, his cycle is, I'm waiting, if there is any proof of false in the version I'm not updating. And I just do it on a, I mean, if I'm asked for it, but yeah, it's not immediate. We will not just see 8.6 go out and try it. It's more precautious. But I guess many big projects that are more focused on what they're doing than updating to the next one.
I'm asking you an easy question. What is the plan for the length?
It would be 6 months. No, we said 9. 9 months between 2 releases, so it's like 18 months.
18 months.
To port something before you have to go through an intermediate version.
Well, you can also
our cycle is not necessarily the cycle of users. They can still use the versions on a
that was my point.
different pace.
But the question, if you use this,
my question is if I want to be.
So it will be 18 months.
I need to take my.
18 months.
Because it's, I mean, from my user perspective, one thing which was making updates more difficult was the number of features.
Yeah, indeed, that was one of the points of the short.
So it should be less work.
Yes.
Yeah.
But were you using combat flags?
I was more like sticking to all the versions.
And then working really.
Do you have feedback from users using combat flags except for Jason? Like for the old one for 8.2, 8.3, and so. No.
The point of this, and maybe I should have started with it. The point of this is that we need a way to remove legacy code. That, and some of these flags maintain some code, artificial code. So this has a cost because we need to maintain it. Usual problem of that code.
Yeah, the solution we would just reverse. If we have an option, we don't have to maintain because there is an option. If there is no option, we have to update.
No, that's not true. I mean, imagine the kind of refactoring and cleaning that Mate is doing. If it does that, then you also have to fix the code that's there only to provide the compatibility later. Yeah. Otherwise, you won't compile anymore.
For us?
Yeah. Yes. Yes, I meant for us.
But for users, it's more work.
But I mean, okay. I think okay. So for us, you agree, right? So for users, I mean, there are 2 options. If they want to port their stuff, or if they don't. If they don't, they can stick with an old version of code. If they want to port it anyway, the compat flag is only a transition to ease the transition for them, so that they don't have to do everything in one pass.
Assuming that someone will develop something, we continue to work on it 10 years.
No, but if they don't, then
it will compile with an old version of code.
I'm not sure I understand. Yeah.
Okay.
I think the difficulty is the reason why people want to stick to new versions is they are still active and they want to benefit from the patch correction.
Exactly, but if they are not active, then they probably don't old version.
That's what I would say. That's my use case. If I didn't make the effort of porting, then I just write a script or a document that this library.
But then if it is a library, I think you use the word library. My own take on this is that a library that is not maintained is going to die. If it is a library in the sense that its point is to be used by other people, if you don't maintain it, then at some point you will address the needs of your user 10 years ago, but not the ones that they have today. If it's a library, then there are other kinds of development than libraries.
I think we have to be careful about it, about the sense that you're having. That is, Coq can be understood as just the system or the system plus the library. And we don't have the manpower to maintain Coq plus a large system of libraries. But somehow the success of the Coq system relies on the existence of all these libraries.
Yes.
And there's something that is unsure, and the boundary is not easy. How much do we need to care for the library?
I don't understand this. So what I said is that if an author of a library doesn't maintain it, at some point it will have no users. And your point is like you're trying. I'm not sure exactly.
My point is that the case of CompSurf, for example, is it's very hard for us to understand what position we should have.
But it's fine. According to what position on what exactly?
Well, maybe at some point we have to devote some energy to help exactly move to newer versions. If he doesn't want to do it because that's too much.
Okay, so maybe I should have reported last week's work I did to my boss, but I reported the concert at 6.
I know.
We do that already.
I know. So this is the case. We are not just saying, oh, there's a clear separation between the code and the library. Sometimes for libraries, we get into this position where
yeah, but isn't that orthogonal?
No, I don't think that. Here for 8.6, Maxime did the job, but for 8.5, it was none of Coq developers.
Oh, it was Jacques
Henry is not a Coq developer.
Yeah. He's a developer of the new universal.
Okay.
Something else.
Yeah.
You can find someone other.
We don't have that precise demarcation between the Coq developer and not.
Sorry, I thought that the debate was what's the use case of this compact tags. I think it's rather different from.
Yeah, you're right. The use case, in my opinion.
I'm claiming that as a user and discussing with other users, I don't think it hurts to remove compact tags.
The use case of these flags, I believe, is.
Whoever is maintaining the library, I think it's okay to have less compact flags.
Compact flags do not remove the need for maintainability. They don't change anything about that. If you want to port to a new version, you will have to eventually anyway. If you don't want to, then you can stick with an old version. Where it really helps is you have a big thing to port, and if you don't have compact flags, the only way to do it is to do it fully in one go, and only then you can publish the result of this. And the compact flags, they bring you sweeter spots so that you can publish an intermediate state that works. Then the transition is easier.
So if we follow your logic, we should have only one.
No, maybe not, because you might have user cycles that would skip over a stable version of it.
And even for deprecation,
if we decide to release a new stable version every week, I mean, you cannot expect but that's an example. So maybe, 2 versions.
I'm wondering, when was the last time that someone complained about this event script no longer passing with Coq?
Sorry, what?
What?
This event.
V7.
I mean, it's a serious question.
It's probably
because
an answer if you don't understand.
Yeah.
We see
I don't know, but probably you will.
It happens sometimes to get a concept using 8.0 to
needed to work on V7 files less than a year ago.
Oh, yeah,
And I was happy that Go had made the job of making sure we have recent version, recent copies of Coq 8.0 running.
Yeah, it's
a different piece of work.
That's a good.
It's taking an old piece of code and making it compile with new versions of Vocabel or new versions of Ubuntu or.
It's the same problem. It's the same problem.
Yeah, in fact, it's even more than that.
And it was really useful for me that Hugo had done this job.
Yeah, and you were doing it for others' interest. It was not just your own interest.
Yeah, well, I gave them the script.
But okay, so but
that's a separate path to transition this one.
Yeah, translation.
Just
yeah.
It was a path, it was a transition path, not a compact flag.
Yeah, this is the other end of the spectrum of use cases. I think this is like a
archaeology.
Yeah, you didn't maintain, you didn't port for a long time, and then you notice you really want to.
But then you can use successive versions of Coq too.
Yeah, that's one way. But it's nice to have tools to help you. But I think that's possible. So are we okay with two versions?
It works for 8.4 actually.
Yes, but I think we were more consistent in the 8.5 mode.
No, but I mean trying to make 8.6 more compatible with 8.4 than 8.5 was.
So it works except for this get compat version function in classes that maps 8.5 and 8.6 to the same thing. No, 8.4 and 8.4 and 8.6 to the same thing, but has a special behavior.
Here, sign of copy paste.
No, because the original one was actually right.
But it would mean for 8.6 getting rid of 8.3, and I think it's fine.
And 2 and 1.
Yeah, obviously.
Okay.
So can you repeat the argument? You already told it.
Okay. When, some of these compact modes make some of the code not be dead. Dead in the sense in having no entry point. And so we cannot remove it. Okay, but
any change we make might impact it.
And so this has a maintenance cost.
So you mean the complexity of the code.
Well, even it's just more code.
The size.
It's more code. Yeah, we need to maintain. Again, the example, Mate is doing a refactoring. Some of it, very often, will occur in code that's there just for compatibility purposes. So if it's not there, it doesn't have to do the job.
Yeah, it's an easier job. And the code is clean.
And it's not just Mate.
So it's a general principle.
It's a
redundancy.
Yeah,
finding the good abstraction so that we don't have to repeat things.
Well, the point is we need a way to remove code when we replace it by something else, something new. And if we provide a compat flag to an infinite number of versions back, we can never remove it.
Would it be possible to summarize some arguments in favor of the existence of compat flags at all? Because for me,
yeah, okay, I said it twice already. We're getting there. But you're right.
Because no other tool has, big tools normally don't do this.
Okay, we'll do that.
Yeah, it's a good idea, but
yeah,
so, okay.
Yeah, we need to do the other parts.
Okay, so I didn't hear too many complaints. And the most
just a quick update on the previous discussion about trunk and
master. This is not making progress.
Yes, it does.
I'm kidding.
It's making progress because at the site and GitHub has just changed.
Yes, Emilio said it. You added a feature to change the label of the base label of the request. Yes, Emilio said it. Okay, let's move. Emilio said it before. Yeah, in the discussion. No worries. No, maybe Emilio's English. Anyway,
the last one is Vocabel.
The last one is the version of Vocabel that we are targeting for 8.7. So maybe we should skip that.
Yeah, we should skip that.
No, but I wanted I wanted to do it. No, we have. we need to take a decision because there are some pull requests waiting that we don't merge because we don't know the answer. So we need to answer. I mean, the answer can be anything, but we need an answer.
Which are the options?
312, 401, 402.
Reasonable one.
So okay, so let's first. Okay, the current policy that we had was that when the version of OCaml with which we were compatible was the version of OCaml shipped with Debian stable at the time when we were starting to work on the version of Coq, which means for 8.7 it would be 401. Okay.
Yeah.
That was the policy.
Is it for 8.6? Or when?
For 8.6 we decided it was 401. Yeah.
We are at 401.
Yeah.
So it would be the same.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you just need to say that function for 8.7.
If we follow the same policy.
So are you saying we have already started working on 8.7?
No,
so
no, I'm saying that we will start working on 8.7 way before Debian ships.
And then you were saying we should do.
So we asked a guy who knows a bit about the OCaml ecosystem, and there was an interesting discussion. By the way, it was not just a question answer. And apparently, according to him, there is no real drawback in using the last version. In fact, he said so. We talked with him yesterday again, and he said sometimes he tries to be compatible with 402 these days, but still recommends to install 403. Developments like ComCert. So ComCert is not compatible with 401. Okay.
So ComCert uses the latest version of OCaml, but he is reluctant to use the latest version.
Yeah, but when you update Coq and you update OCaml, it cannot make sense sometimes. It may be not the same problem, right? So okay, so if you, why would we want a newer version? That's the question. So for 402, there are many things. There is the introduction of the PPX, and Pierre-Marie has already done preliminary work on reformulating the extension macros to PPX. And more, I had the flag. More generally, okay. So first, okay, the first thing I would advocate, and this is not controversial, I think, is that we should ourselves on the machine be using 403, which doesn't mean introducing incompatible features. Okay, it's a different thing.
We should
but
remove the Debian policy.
Wait. The first thing is it's interesting to compile Coq with 403 today, even if it's compatible with other versions, because you get some very useful warnings. So yesterday we worked on this with Hugo. I'm not sure I can find it. But you can actually find bugs just reading the warnings given by the system. What was the name? I remember there was a function called test. Yeah, test. No, not this one.
If we were picky, we would say, thanks to the warning, we discover that the semantic of OCaml is not the most interesting one.
That's right. I would agree with that. but then we had the bug anyway. Okay. So okay, we're short. Yeah, yeah, but anyway, there was. The responsibility might be on your OCaml side, but there was a bug. No, I agree. It was very tricky. Not. But. So no, if you have var here, it matches.
He told me that himself he was using this the other way.
Sorry, but my point is not at all to say that this is a big mistake. I'm saying this is the kind of areas where you really need help from the compiler, because otherwise you get it wrong.
What do you expect here?
Well, you expect symmetry. No. This is not a symmetrical.
So the way is distributed.
Absolutely not. If you have a bar, it's so bad stuff.
No,
because you are not allowed to have.
Wait. No. So the one is not part of patterns. It's clauses that contain patterns. So this is the same thing. If you put a parenthesis here, it's a valid syntax, and it has the same wrong behavior. Okay. So you can put parentheses here. So this is not the problem. Okay, the when covers the two cases. This is fine. But what that means is if you have var, it matches on the left, and you test if the close evaluates. If not, then it doesn't match. Although the second variable could satisfy the close. It doesn't backtrack. Wow. It doesn't backtrack, right?
But it makes sense.
So it's not symmetric. So then this is not symmetric. And Hugo actually wrote the test case showing the bug in fact. So this is extremely tricky. Okay, I'm not saying it's a big mistake. Sometimes I complain about coding style and so on. There I agree with Hugo. It's very tricky.
So the one
but the point is, for author tells you, are you sure you want to do that? and there is a family of such warnings. You can even enable to icon weird stuff in your code with an unused variable. Warnings as well. So we compute something and then we throw it away because we masked it by another variable.
So it's not just
So this I think is not so controversial. I'm just saying, as developers.
It's exactly the same as the new.
No, but this is.
Or 0, 4, 0, 4, 1, I don't remember. That could be ND, but that's certainly not obligatory.
Okay, so what I was saying is that, and this is unrelated to the version that we support, but OCaml 403 is a nice tool for us developers. Then it's still slightly related, because if 403 is a version we use all the time, it's not so easy to ensure that we don't introduce things that are incompatible with 401, 402. So it's a bit related. It's a bit dangerous to work on a different version of OCaml than the one we support.
Unless you have one developer in the team who is not using 403.
No, we are more serious than that. We have a Jenkins running the right version, but you notice errors later, so it has a cost. That's my point. Okay, something else. I said PPX. Something else is inline records. So, for instance, I am trying to remove all these kind of types. Okay. And the problem is that some of them are easy to remove, like this one, but some others are arguments of constructors, and so you cannot easily give names to them except by creating a record that, and then the constructor takes that record as an argument. But this has a runtime cost because it has one more indirection. OCaml 403 allows you to, like in Coq, by the way, to like Xavier does in construct, which maybe they didn't ask it, to put the names of the fields in the arguments of the constructor, and it doesn't cost anything. So my point is that in terms of the quality of code and bugs and so on, it will be interesting. I think it's a valuable thing to do. Okay, it's not just for the fanciness of having the last version on the machine. Not at I'm advocating this.
But maybe you can go fast with the gates.
Against what?
Sorry, maybe to 8.3.
Yeah, I know I'm always the only one, but
no, I'm also against just because. Well, I did it, but for 403, I need to combine OCaml myself. It's not provided by my IDE solution, and I'm not using the Debian stable.
But will it be the same when we release 8.7? Because I think that's what matters for users. This is what matters.
I mean, Debian is about to freeze with 402.
Yeah, good point.
With big 402 for a while. I mean, they're not doing the OCaml package.
The O2 already has PPX.
The language is a nice thing to develop. It's also a nice thing to distribute sources. We have the user to a large part of the user. I remember the figures, but a few of them will combine. And you are just having the way to very hard time for anybody who want to combine.
If they don't read the README, you mean?
Because they combine with the file.
But I thought
with the Debian.
I'm a bit surprised because
might work, but
I'm a bit surprised because to me, yeah,
advocating.
This looks like very specific cases. I wouldn't care so much about these users.
To my eyes,
no, certainly not. Just being able to use.
So it's a user basically who wants to compile Coq on the machine, doesn't want to install OPAM. And by the way, why would you want not to install OPAM? Except of course if you're on the Windows. Anyway.
because OPAM is just a huge stuff above and just.
But I mean, are you ready to?
Well,
An operating system is also a huge thing. I mean, and, okay, I don't think I'm going to address
something. At least on the system we are speaking about, like Vision, they provide like the tool, they provide some integration, and so suddenly you say, oh, all this is part.
We will compile that by yourself.
No, but so I think okay, this is a problem.
If you want to compile a random version, you do it following the instruction. If the instruction tells you the path,
your path is fragile. OPAM works when it works. It's not working on the time. I can mention lots of points.
Debian is not working on the time because sorry, I know Debian Defender, but there is a reason people have developed OPAM, and why people have developed a different tool and is not using Debian? Because Debian doesn't work for a lot of people. Okay, sorry, Debian doesn't work for a lot of people. How can Debian work that it's not working now? Packages are.
So, I need to ask something because you said
it's very sad that we just.
Yeah, but Pierre, just to clarify your position. So you said you were against 403. What do you think of 402?
So 402.
I don't understand this discussion because we already know where we end.
No. For instance,
yes.
If
you are just a bunch of extremists that want 403, even if it's shipped by nothing else than OPAM. And I really hope we are not that way, going it that way.
So you mean you already know that we are going to take 402?
I know that you want 402 and you ask.
That's clear. We all want 402. You don't take one.
Well, I mean, I would like 403, but I think it's not very realistic.
But is 402 going to be?
Because if we don't take 402, for instance, we cannot integrate Pierre-Marie's work on.
Yeah, we
on
need
the plugin.
402 for the plugin.
So we need to trash that.
We really need it.
That would be a pity.
The GADT stuff is available from what version?
It's old.
For
something.
For consider one is crazy because it's even admitted by Xavier is a crazy compiler, but it only works in Debian because it's heavily patched. Okay, so for RBD for 8.6 for 4.01 is a mistake. So Debian did a mistake, so we don't have to follow Debian mistakes. Sorry, Debian has many faults.
Yeah, no, I mean, don't add.
Okay, so 0.02
we agree.
is the minimal thing.
Is the next table.
But so to be concrete, so Pierre, honestly, I'm not trying to bias the discussion, but
each year.
But do you suggest that we
do what you want?
But would you suggest that we don't integrate what Pierre-Marie did?
I'm just fed up with this discussion. Take the camel you want.
I guess the majority is
a yes. No. This was about 402. No, because 403.
We can ask if people would be.
I mean, ideally, maybe we could try to find a sweet spot. So the main. Okay. No, my concern. Okay. The inline records, you have an intermediate strategy that you can erase once we switch to 403.
Yeah, what the warnings are not warnings. The warnings.
And the problem is that I don't know exactly, but I believe PPX have changed in the 403. So that might be a problem because
it is true. There is ways to write PPX extensions that work on both.
So what Pierre-Marie does, for instance,
I would say in incompatible ways.
The
PPX change between 402 and 403 in incompatible ways.
Yes, but there is a way to write PPX code that works with both. I mean, you can put if-defs in some sense.
Yeah.
People manage to do that. I'm not an expert.
But so we would need to do that on Pierre-Marie's work as well.
I have no idea if he uses one of the bits of PPX that changed that.
We can take 402 and ask him whether he was suggested on Coq Plug if people would be for it 403 and if nobody says no.
No, but I mean, okay. If it's true that like Debian and Ubuntu in their last versions will not ship 403 when we ship 8.7, I think that's a problem.
But the 403 thing could run on a Jenkins business, and so that we can look easily at the warnings.
Yeah, but be careful though, because for instance, it happens to me often that I develop in 03. It doesn't compile then in 02. It's very often like, for instance, like
that's exactly what you were trying to address.
You use 402 for development so that it matches what we claim to support. But then Jenkins runs 403 to get.
No, but instead, in Masinja's claim, you want to use 03 for getting good wording support.
But you're not listening. You're not listening.
Sends you emails.
But maybe you should your version. Which version do you prefer? Both three?
Yes, both three. Yeah.
We need both versions.
Yeah, you do both.
The standard one and the awareness. I want to see my awareness in my Emacs. I don't want to use in my Emacs the old compiler. I want to use the new compiler with your Emacs. This is
wait. What are the cases? So OCaml became incompatible.
There are small differences. It's not hard to find. I can produce an example.
There were 15 minutes to discuss this.
All right, I think we need. So, for two, are we going to try?
And we can ask for also.
Well,
yeah, I would be happier with a 3, but I think it's.
Well, at least there is agreement that O2 is 023. There is agreement. This is the new base, right, for trunk.
Sorry.
There is agreement that 023. This is the new base for trunk. Because there are many things like deprecated tags and many things that are really very useful in O2 that couldn't be done.
Oh yes, we have that too. Deprecation, tagging deprecated functions. So today it's just comments, so we cannot really know when parts of the code base use all functions in kernel.
Lunch?
Yes. And so we can do the.
Sure. But it was about a specific tag, so.
Yeah, but that would be the point of the theorem.